Sure.
The Atlanta child murders were a series of murders committed in Atlanta, Georgia from the middle of 1979 until May 1981. Over the 2-year period, at least 28 children and 2 adults were killed. All the children that were killed in the Atlanta child murders were all black and ages 11 through 14. The 2 adults that were killed were 1 white, 21, and 1 black, 23. Wayne William, an Atlanta native who was 23 years old at the time of the last murder, was arrested for and convicted of 2 of the adult murders and sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms. Police subsequently have attributed a number of the child murders to Williams and closed the cases, although he has not been tried or convicted in any of those cases. Wayne Bertram Williams was born on May 27, 1958, and raised in the Dixie Hills neighborhood of southwest Atlanta, Georgia, to Homer and Faye Williams. Both parents were teachers. He grew up with a keen interest in radio and journalism, eventually constructing his own carrier current radio station in his own living room. As the murders continued, a police surveillance team watched a bridge spanning the Chatl River where several bodies had been discovered. This is where Wayne Williams became a first suspect in the Atlanta child murders after they heard a loud splash after he crossed the bridge. When Wayne Williams was stopped and questioned, he told police that he was on his way to audition a young singer named Cheryl Johnson for his music business. When he told police that he was on his way to audition the young singer Cheryl Johnson for his music business, he gave them a phone number which ended up being fake and later turned out so was Cheryl Johnson. 2 days later, police found a body that floated down the river, the exact same river that Wayne Williams was convicted for the loud splash. He then took polygraph tests, which he failed 3, and hairs and fibers retrieved from another victim's body were found to be consistent with those from his home, car, and dog. Although Wayne Williams remained his innocence from the beginning, he had strong evidence against him, such as dog hair that was very unique and carpet fibers that were very unique from his home. Wayne Williams could not be excluded as a suspect in the case because the dog hair that was taken off all the kids were the same as Wayne Williams' dog, and the DNA sequence can only be found out of 1 out of 100 dogs, so he could not be excluded from the case because he was a prime suspect.
Aaron Jackson Jr. was among the youngest, only 9 years old. Luby Jeter was 14, Timothy Hill 13, Patrick Baltazar 11. For almost 2 years, the bodies have kept coming out of Atlanta's rivers and woods, and week after week, police speak of sorrow and sympathy, but not a solution.
It's just a tragic, horrible nightmare that we're going through.
We're not in a position today to make an arrest.
There are cases in history that have gone on much longer than this has.
At Police Task Force headquarters, there are 27 faces on the wall, 26 murdered, 1 missing. The killer? There is a handful of sketches, no one the same, no one certain to be the person police want. Almost a year after the task force was set up, police can't answer who or why. They don't know how or where or even how many of the black victims may have been killed by the same person. One investigator says even if the killer walked in the door and confessed, there is not enough evidence now to convict him. A half dozen of the cases may be isolated, unrelated homicides, the victims found near home, killed perhaps by family or friends. But somewhere in the city of Atlanta, there is a person who has killed 15 or 20 boys and young men. The district attorney keeps a chart on the wall with names of the dead and room for more.
With my theory, the person is not abducted, not kidnapped, not snatched off the street at that particular time, but is willingly going with somebody for something, at least at the instance they get in the car. They're going to make some money, or they're going to meet somebody. If they're going starting off willingly.
Like many victims, JoJo Bell, 15, was a child of the streets, always in need of money. He worked for his supper once in a while at the seafood carryout and always asked the owner to give him a ride home.
He wouldn't walk the street at night because of the killing. You know, they used to joke about it. You know, he said, I ain't gonna let the kid snatch me. But someone did. Yeah, somebody did.
Bell had been a basketball buddy of Timothy Hill. Hill spent his last known night at the seedy shack on Gray Street, the home of a 63-year-old homosexual called Uncle Tom. None of the victims has been found sexually abused, but the obvious question intrigues investigators. Mickey McIntosh, one of the adults killed, hung around the same carryout where JoJo Bell worked.
You know, I have seen gays come down and seen Mickey in the car with, you know, gays. They would be dressed all up and stuff. They'll come by here and sometimes look for Mickey.
Atlanta's safety commissioner will say only what he doesn't know.
Where we are in the investigation right now is we do not know the person or persons that are responsible, therefore we do not have the motive.